The last time I did a Q&A was my husband and I, like, relationship Q&A. That was 2 years ago. So I feel like a whole new person. I had you guys ask me some questions via my Instagram stories. So let's get ready and answer some of these questions. How do you balance motherhood and taking care of you? What are your grounding practices? I kind of love that question. Balancing motherhood and like taking care of myself is something that I think I've been doing for such a long time that it's like second nature to me. But believe it or not, I get that question so much. I know that it's like one of the things that moms struggle with the most, especially because I think as moms, we just want predictability. We want to be able to have some control over our lives, and motherhood is so unpredictable. I think that the way I balance it is by just reminding myself that structure and having, you know, a schedule is where I thrive. I used to be the type of person, I enjoyed being spontaneous. I enjoyed like going with the flow. And even though that's truly what resonates with me and my spirit, I realized that in motherhood, you can't really have that all the time. My kids are spontaneous enough. Like having children is spontaneous enough, okay? So for me, I think that I really learned how to thrive in structure and routine. And having twins really brought that out in me so much more. Creating schedules, tapping in with my husband and coming up with ways that we can support each other in those schedules. Like, you know, hey, I have this to do this day or these hours of the day. And then he'll, you know, have his things where I'll take over and like, you know, playing team in that sense. I'm really, really passionate about me. But what I mean by that is like, I see myself as a mother, but I also very much see myself as Armelis. Like, I know this sounds so silly. Like, it's not really like the greatest advice ever. I'm just really passionate about my self-care, doing things that I love, still maintaining my personality and like who I am aside from being a mom. Like, I'm really passionate about keeping that. I hope that answered the question. And as far as like grounding practices, shower really relaxes me. I think it's because I'm a water sign. I don't know, but I think having a hot warm shower is like immediately grounding for me. Going to the gym in the morning, eating balanced meals, journaling, drinking my water. Let me drink my water. How did you know your husband was the one? Does the cultural difference bother you? No, it definitely doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't know why it would ever, but I will say that this is the first time I date someone that's not part of my like Latino culture, because I've dated people that aren't Dominican. It's actually funny because when I was younger and I found out that my last name was French, I actually gained an affinity for like all things French culture. And when I got to high school, I was absolutely keen on learning French. So I took French for all my 4 years and I was just like obsessed, like completely, like I was in Paris in my mind, okay? Like, never thought in a million years I was going to marry a French man. Like, I always laugh about it because it's like he was in Paris thinking about coming to New York as a teenager, and I'm in New York as a teenager thinking about Paris and like wanting to visit Paris. He moved here when he was like 12 or 13. He's very familiar with the New York culture and like Dominicans and Latinos. Listens to the music I listen to all the time. He enjoys it. He embraces my culture. Like, you know, how did I know he was the one? I don't know. He made me the one. For me, he just had all the green flags, you know, like I think he just got home. So now I feel weird. Babe? Yeah? Not me talking about you while I'm filming right now and you walking right in.
What are you talking about?
Somebody asked me, how did you know your husband was the one?
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. I don't know. I knew he was the one because he had all the green flags. Like, he just was it represented everything that I had journaled about, you know, when I wanted to meet the right person. Like, I had made a list of things that I wanted to see in the partner that I was going to meet. He met all of those things and more. So that's how I knew. I was always very calm around him. I never felt like a sinking feeling or like nervous or like questioned anything he did or said. He was very like grounding, and that made me feel very safe. So I think that also, I don't know, made me feel like he was the one. All right, moving on before y'all got me actually blushing. No question, but you inspired me to junk journal starting this week. Listen, that hobby is going crazy. Absolutely love it. And it's really making me feel so happy. Like, my inner child is so happy. I used to be such a like arts and crafts girly when I was little, and I absolutely love scrapbooking and just making things out of nothing. Every month, at the end of the month, I sit down, I look at all the junk that I collected, and I literally just sit down and put everything in my journal, and it makes me so happy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's like my new favorite thing, and I'm just like committed to doing it for the rest of this year. Me and junk journaling are like locked in. So I'm glad that you're starting to. I'm a mom giving birth after 12 years. How are the kids with the age difference? First of all, congratulations. I think that when I first got pregnant, I was very like aware of the age difference. Like I was always thinking about, oh my goodness, like by the time my oldest is this age, these kids are gonna be this age and I'm gonna be this age. But you know, she surpassed anything I even expected. Like my oldest is the sweetest person with her siblings. Like she's always wanted siblings. She's always been really great with kids. So, you know, once the twins were born, and she also has siblings on her dad's side, and she's like the best big sister. Like I think my kids get along really well, and so that makes me happy, and it doesn't make me feel so worried or whatever about what they might be like when they're older, because the twins love her and she loves them. And honestly, when they're all together, like we're just like melting basically. I think you'd be surprised that it's gonna go better than you expect it to be. Mom advice for the teen years. Ooh. I'm still in the thick of it, okay? She's only about to be 16. Like this is what society expects of teen years, right? It's like chaos and attitude and, you know, problems and this and that. But like honestly, what they don't tell you is that a lot of it is you constantly thinking about what you would have wanted your parents to do for you or give you or talk to you about when you were that age. That's one of the things that blew my mind. How much I revisit my teenage years and like my experience with my parents. And not that it was negative, but just in general, the good and the bad. And how much that like informs the way that I parent her. And what I want to like carry on as a parent from what my parents, like from what I saw my parents do, and things that I don't want to do. I personally feel like that's one of the hardest things about raising a teenager is like trying to figure out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what's gonna work for them. I'm really blessed. My daughter is actually a great kid, you know, like I can't complain. You know, the teenage years haven't been too rough on us. But yeah, there's just so much of it is the inner work that you're doing to raise a teen. And I always tell her, like, I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers. You know, you didn't come with a manual. I'm just a girl. So I hope that helped. Somebody also asked me what it's like having a teen. And I think I kind of answered that. But yeah, it looks like they try to steal your clothes. It looks like a lot of asking, can I do this and can I do that? A lot of conversations about their future, but also like clean your room and wash the dishes, and can you please wash the dishes, and can you take all those cups out of your room, and why is there 10,000 clothes in a pile on the floor? You know, I try to give her a lot of grace. Like we have all had those moments where you look back and you're like, I used to do the same shit, you know? And so you have to give them grace while also giving them the tools, you know, for them to be responsible adults. What is your favorite part about your babies being both French and Dominican? I love all of it. I think that, you know what? I feel like having multicultural kids is already such a journey, because it's not something I identified with because I'm fully Dominican, but I had a lot of friends, you know, growing up and in high school that were bicultural. And I always found this so interesting how they were always drawn to like one culture over the other. So for me, this is all like a really beautiful journey. Like we obviously, you know, raised them with things from both of our cultures. You know, they've been to France, they've been to Dominican Republic. It's just beautiful to see them engaging with the French culture when we're there and their family and friends. And then when they go to DR, I love seeing them, you know, barefoot in my grandmother's like yard. Like it's all beautiful. And I think my favorite thing is watching them, you know, explore all of it and learn from all of it. How did you pick your baby names? I wanted something short. In my mind, I just kept thinking like, all right, I'm having twins. That's 2 toddlers that are going to be running around. And I might have to be calling them, you know, like calling after them. And my thought, literally, this was my thought process. I was like, I want short names so that when that moment comes, it's like, you know, I wanted something short and sweet. Because I was like, it's 2 of them. I don't want a mouthful. What is your secret sauce to thriving in motherhood and career? I feel like I'm just now finding my groove in motherhood and my career. The first couple of years being postpartum was a lot of crash outs. a lot of like identity crisis and like, who am I? What am I doing? What's next for me? I feel like I've come a long way, and at the same time, I also feel like I'm just getting started. I put myself out there, you know, raw, unfiltered, did the YouTube, started my TikTok 2 years ago, started pivoting from my photography to create content creation on Instagram. My kids started school, you know, last year, and it opened up so much more free time for myself that I didn't have, you know, and I look back and I'm like, I don't know how I did all the things that I did while caring for twins at home and being a stay-home mom. Like, I remember asking my husband for like 5 hours to edit a YouTube video. Like, hey, I'm gonna take 5 hours, you know, to sit down and edit this, and it would take me like the whole day instead. And he was just so supportive. But, you know, I've come a long way since that. I'm just grateful that, you know, to have that support and to finally be able to focus on this career a little bit more. And with that, I mean, my secret sauce is just, you know, being passionate. I think that, you know, that's what really drove me to be where I am. It's just like my passion never went away. Like, I did it while I was doubtful of myself. I did it while I was scared. I did it while I was like confused. I did it while I was like completely just like lost in postpartum. And I still showed up and did something, you know, inched my way forward and forward and forward. That's my secret sauce, is just like the passion I have inside for creativity. It's never left me, you know, through all my phases in motherhood, even with my oldest. Like, I've always had a passion for being creative, and I think that that's always my driving force, you know, just that creativity, the ideas that I get, and like just wanting to storytell, driving that passion that's inside me that I can't like quiet down. I just have to do something with it. You know, touching back on what I was saying earlier, like that forces me to like find a way where my routine and my structure incorporates that. Like, I always, and everything that I plan, even with my husband and stuff, like I always find a way to incorporate the things that I love and what I want to do for myself, whether that's like my skincare or getting dressed or, you know, taking time to do wash day, my hair, whatever, you know, that's just something that I always strive for, like having that time. One last thing is also like, I think a lot of that passion and creativity for storytelling is just, my why is kind of like always inspiring people. Like, I always want to inspire, you know, other moms, other women to like do that, to like listen to that, like that passion for creativity and like whatever it is that fuels them to want to do something they love. Like, that's kind of like my mentality. It's like, I want to do this because I want to be the example. I want to show people that like that is possible. Like, it is possible to balance all the things, you know. It might not look pretty all the time, or like it might not be perfect every day, but like it's possible, you know, to have it all. I would love to hear your story on your experience with Dr. Herbal. This is the doctor that did my tummy tuck 4 months ago, and they asked for a breakdown of expenses. I talked a lot about this on my social media. There's actually a highlight on my Instagram for, you know, all questions answered, like expenses, my experience, my recovery. But to answer the question about how was my experience, it was great. I had a great experience, you know. I found him on social media and I immediately loved his work, and I knew that I wanted him to do my surgery. I loved it. I think that, you know, he's really professional. He has great work ethic. He's very patient. The doctor and the surgeon and his team and all the things, like, I personally feel like I had the best experience. Obviously, there's a lot to consider when it comes to recovery. You know, like there's a lot of ups and downs and like mental strength you have to have and physical things and all of that. But my experience overall with the surgeon was great. Yeah, if you want to know like more breakdown of expenses and like things like that, that's like more on that highlight on my Instagram. How did you figure out your style? I'm still figuring out my style, you know, and I think now more than ever, I'm so committed to finding my style because I'm done having kids. Nobody talks about this, but it really is hard to like stick to your style when you barely have things to wear. So one of my struggles in postpartum has always been coming back to my personal style. I think especially after having the twins, it's been even harder because when I had my oldest, it's like when 10 years of just like going through trends and wearing things and whatever, and I was young, so I was still like wearing more trendy things versus like my own personal style. You know, I'm a little older. I feel like you start kind of like leaning towards your own personal style more than trends. And then having my postpartum body was like incredibly difficult because the clothes that I loved and thrifted and everything, like I had to let them go or at least put them to the side and then focus on buying things that were comfortable and like easy to just wear and be in the house with. So like I wasn't really dressing for myself. Content creation too, it really helped me kind of rediscover my style, because I really wanted to start showing my outfits more and like what I was putting together to get ready, you know, as a mom. I think just exploring, you know, like I live on Pinterest. Okay, and I know a lot of people do that, but like I use Pinterest very strategically. I like going on there and looking at the inspo I have saved and looking at my closet and thinking about, okay, how can I recreate this style that I see on Pinterest with stuff I already own? And it makes me kind of think out of the box with stuff I already own, where I'm like, okay, I actually have, you know, a top that has like this rib texture, and I like how they paired it with this like mesh skirt or like knitted, I don't know, stuff like that. Like I like looking at different fabrics and how I can explore mixing them together. I like, you know, using Pinterest in that way. Also, thrifting has helped a lot with my personal style, because thrift stores, you can find things that are older from different decades, etc, etc. So you're more so looking for things you actually like, things that you actually see yourself wearing. I'm still working on it, you know. I think that's something that's like evolving, ever evolving, you know. I'm excited to just play around more with my closet. Nutrition and fitness tips with mom duties. When it comes to nutrition and fitness, I have pretty much made my fitness non-negotiable in my life. Once I decided that it was going to be a non-negotiable, it was easier for me to find ways to stay committed to it despite where I was in my life. You really have to embrace the season you're in as a mom, because it's not always going to look the same, you know. Like when I first started working out after having the twins, I was doing it from home. I was doing it in my living room. I was doing it using the kids, like literally using them as weights. If your workout can only be 15 minutes at home, perfect. If your workout is only going on a walk with those kids on a stroller, perfect. If your workout is running after your kids at the park for 20 minutes, like perfect. I think a lot of people struggle, especially moms, with the expectation of like it looking a certain way. And I think balancing it with mom duties just means making it part of your lifestyle, however that looks, making sure that it's your priority and like a non-negotiable for you. And that's how you will remain consistent and not always see it as like something outside of you. Do twins run in your family or your husband's? Technically, no, there aren't any twins in our family. But I remember I went to DR 2 years ago with my twins, and I found out that my great grandmother had 2 boy twins that like unfortunately passed away when they were little. She's like 100 years old though. Yeah, so I feel like maybe my gene came from my great grandmother, even though it did skip a whole lot of people. I think most people that have twins in their family kind of have that expectation that they might have twins someday, and that was not the case for me. We absolutely were clueless. So, all right, I think those are all the questions. Thank you guys for just giving me questions to answer and asking really good questions. I love when people ask me things about motherhood and my lifestyle and fitness, and you guys gave me a little bit of everything. Actually surprised that my makeup actually looks kind of decent given all the yapping I just did. Yeah, that was the end of our little Q&A, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.